Alright, we are live. I'm gonna play this music and hope that it's not too loud. Looks like the levels are okay. Please go ahead and tell me if it's too loud. Again, this music, and okay, let me actually start by saying I apologize for going against the schedule and everything. I know it's probably been a little bit confusing. Give me one sec. Okay. Music's a little quiet, it seems. But yeah, so in any case, hopefully that doesn't actually get picked up. I feel like it's so loud it's gonna get picked up by it. Yeah, look at me doing my normal, trying to adjust everything. Even though it should already be set up. Bear with me, I'm still a novice at this with all this cat hair. Anyways, so yeah, this is just a mix that I made a while ago. It's online. I just play it right now. I play it for my streaming. If you want to buy some music for background tracks, or if you want a custom beat, there are links which I should drop into the chat, which I normally do. So I'm gonna go ahead and make that happen. But anyways, yeah. So I've just been a little bit off schedule. I had some plans that got in the way of streaming, and I mean, luckily, there's not a whole lot of people that watch my stuff, anyways. So it's kind of okay. But just wanted to apologize to anybody out there who was expecting to stream on a particular day, or what have you. So just gonna start off that way. I'm gonna drop the links in the chat again if you want to buy some stock music. Check out the BeatStars link if you want a custom beat, composition, even like some soundscaping too. I can do that. Work some out. Just go check out the Fiverr link. Sorry about all that. Anyways, oh yeah, and I totally did not put this as the right stream. This is not StarCraft 2. My bad, guys. I'm really all over the place this weekend. It was kind of a it's one of those lazy Sundays. Me. Coding. Basic program. There we go. Oh man. I apologize a million times about messing this up here, and now I'm actually putting this in here. Okay, so that was terrible. If you're still with me, thank you. That's awesome of you. And yeah, feel free to hit me up in the chat. I try to be pretty responsive and kind of getting this whole workflow down. Yeah, so what we're looking at here is just how to install Python. Well, that too, but not really. Just how to install a virtual environment, which I needed to use to demonstrate this project, which we will go over. I don't even have an IED for this, but it's okay. We'll just look at the code directly in text editor. Oh, okay, I do have an IED. Cool. Of course I do. I have Idle's IDE, or Python's IDE called Idle. So these are two modules, two little code things that I'm working on right now. Kind of a request of a friend. I'm gonna put this on GitHub once the bugs are all out of it. Obviously, this stuff's all commented out. If you know anything about Python, great. If not, that's fine too. But I'm gonna show you the functionality of it and go over some basic stuff. First thing that needs to be done when you're doing Python, in my opinion, you don't have to, but especially on a Mac, you want to use virtual environments. So I had to do this whole thing back here. I kept trying to install it with pip3. That did not work, so I did it this way. This way. Well, it's weird because I did do it this way. I must have been typing something wrong. I don't know. I copied this. I did this command. It did show me it, and then I was able to use it. Maybe it was just the 50th time was the charm. Not really sure. Not a big fan of Python, to be honest. I'm more of a Java programmer. JavaScript's cool too, HTML, CSS, but mostly I like Java and C. I guess I'm the best at Java out of all the different ones. I'm not that great at coding. I'm just trying to get better at it, and hopefully, we can help each other out if you're into coding. If not, I mean, maybe you'll learn something new. And again, I hope you're having a fantastic Sunday. So, first thing to do after you install virtual environment is to get it up and running. I already did this, so I'm just going to hit the up arrow key on the terminal over here, as you can see, and that will allow me to just use one of the last commands. Like, I can see all the different commands that I was using, navigating to get to the folder that I'm in. And I'm going to go ahead, and now I'm in the virtual environment that I called Venv. That's just a convention that I've used for years. I don't know why. It's just someone showed it to me online. I read it, copied it, been using it since then. So now I'm in the virtual environment, so I can go ahead and install the things that I'll need. I'll need to install pandas. I think that's it. I think all these other things come with it. Maybe tkinter also needs to get installed. So I'll just show you that it's not going to work without that. And I don't have a main class or program. I don't really know what Python calls them. Again, Python is not my strong suit. But so I'm going to run the one that's called Budget Tracker GUI, Graphical User Interface, and it's going to throw an error. Should throw an error. Okay, that's odd that it actually ran. I must have installed pandas and tkinter already on the operating system. That's the only thing I can think. Normally when I've programmed this, unless 3.10 for some reason, since they're so commonly used, tkinter and pandas, they just added it. You can see that as a possibility. What we have is a basic user interface. This thing does absolutely nothing except for print the statement out. And then this is the one that does something. Right now it's buggy in several ways, as is this savings line. So let's take a look at, this is the CSV. I'm opening it, yes, in a text file, not in a Excel or whatever numbers if you use Mac. And that's just because I just find this easier to deal with than opening up Pages, which is a larger program. So what it does here is you have your theoretical income. With the app, you have how much you get to spend during the day, and that's calculated by dividing this number by 30. This was all just proposed to me by a friend who said he found an app like this a while ago on Apple. He moved to Android and then was no longer able to use the app. It sucks. He wanted me to build it, see if I could get it working. I was surprised when he said that it wasn't already a thing, and I'd come to find out it actually is somewhere, or he found something better. I don't know, but I'm still gonna finish this app. I don't know if I'm gonna try to get it done as quickly now, but I thought I'd show you guys what I did so far and some stuff that I learned. So this is the algorithm part of this thing, and where does that division go on? Right here. It's okay. Here it is. Well, one of the places where it happens. And honestly, so this is the program that worked totally the way I wanted to by itself, but it was just a command line program, and obviously I wanted it to be a graphical user interface, and so I'm modifying it and running into hiccups here and there and just plugging those holes as I go. Part of the issue is that I'm using a function called round, which, if we were to look at the API, well, if you know anything about math, it's just rounding. It's not really the truncation that I want, because you shouldn't quantify anything less than a penny, right? You shouldn't have a half a penny or a quarter or any number smaller than a penny. Give me a sec, I'll be right back. Apologies for that. I am boiling eggs because I need to prepare for my next week. I like to cook on Sundays. So yeah, just that's something I'm gonna have to look into, get a better function there, make sure the math is checking out. Which brings me to the next issue here, the spend. I can write a value. Let's say I spend $10, 110, $10 today. It could be $110, doesn't really matter. Now, obviously it is not the 23rd. That's what this part of the CSV is encapsulating, and you can see here, like, this is where these numbers come from. It's getting this from this data sheet, this CSV, and that's what Pandas is used for. And this is just the last day that this app was used, and so it's important because it needs to know that so it can calculate how many of these left to spend today. I don't know what I'm going to call that yet, but for now, on today's day, you know, how many of these you're going to add back in to the savings, into your monthly pool, your total pool, and that way you can kind of keep track. It's a budget tracker. You're tracking how much money you should have if you're tracking your spending habits, right? So I click spend. Now, immediately there's some issues. One, Nimue wants to join the party. Hi there. You gonna say something on the mic? Okay. Yeah, so one of the things it's doing that's wrong is, now this is 2 days ago, so it should add 166 to the savings, 0.67, right? Just multiply that by 2, that should be $333.34. As you can see, it's kind of that. Here's the rounding issue, right? This is the rounding issue going on using that function round. So some funkiness I have to figure out. Not as troubling as this other issue where I only spent $10, but it took out 20 here, and then it also still took out the 10 here. So that has to do with the way that I'm passing in the data. That's something that I'm not gonna fumble around in front of you guys and try to figure out today, but I just didn't want to have that there and show you, and you guys are like, what the fuck? So, and let's say I spend another 100. Oh wow. I don't even know what's gonna happen if. See, that's another thing. So you can edit this and see what happens when I spend $100. Is it gonna? And so now you can see it did something else weird. And every time that I do this, if I just spend $0, like, it's just doing this weird thing with round function, I think. So I have to explore that. But now it's mostly working, which is cool. And then if I close it, and then now if I go ahead, I'm gonna just use cat to take a look at it, because I want to have this here so I can save the state of it, so I can revert back to it. Take a look at income statement, and as you can see, it's changed to reflect these things. It's the current date. This stays the same. The income part, the savings part is what it was, and this part is also what it was. If I open the app again, you can see it takes the data from the CSV. Not this one. This is not updated, and it shows me what's going on. So yeah, honestly, did not really plan this whole thing out much, and since it's not fully functional, it's not a whole lot to go over. If anyone has any questions, you and Casper, I guess, feel free to ask me. I'll answer. For now, let's see. I mean, kind of go over what's going on a little bit more here. Space does not need to be there. Oh yeah, and again, if you like the music, you know, put a link in there to this. I make this music. You can buy it. Tell your friends about it. Anyways, I'll stop trying to be an ad man. I'm not that great at that. So this function here comes from this library, the datetime library. And I don't know why it's so redundant like that, but whatever. That's just how you get today's date. And then you can call this function, which is like strf time. I don't know what that really stands for, the strf part, but it allows you to change the formatting. So this Y, capital Y, denotes the year, the little M and the D are month and day, and so you can just have them, and you have to put a percentage sign, and you can have them comma separate. That's what I chose because the way I want to feed them back in later to do some other stuff with the date, comparing numbers, it just makes it easier to read it in that way. So I also, it's actually super redundant here, but yeah, get today. But then there is one that's get date, which is not the same as get today, because this literally just looks at today's date, puts it in this format, and gets it. Get date takes whatever's in this sheet, grabs it up, and returns it, and that gets used in another place, which it is here. Date gets fed into here, and yeah, so that gets split up, and that's why I have the comma separated, because I want to split it by the comma so I can read in each little bit of it. So this is for today's date, and then the previous date, and then the new previous dates, and it's just like I turn them into arrays because I needed to manipulate them. My brain is a little frazzled today, y'all. So I appreciate you standing by and tolerating my lackadaisical attitude here. And let's see if I can march through this code and remember exactly why I did this. I mean, I did take some decent notes here. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they're put into an array. And, okay, that's why. Because I wanted to create an array of int and then be able to feed those in as positional arguments here like this. So date delta previous day, date delta today, delta just meaning change. That way I can look at them with date time and then do a comparison days. Or sorry, that's not where the comparison happens. This is actually for the spent and what's left. Left minus what you're spending. The comparator happens here with this initially happening with dates and today, which can be compared with that greater than or equal. I don't know why I had to convert it to this. There was just some type of issue I was experiencing. I might have just added more code in that was unnecessary, and at some point I will optimize it and go back through and refactor stuff, make the language more clear. But right now I'm just trying to get things working and take notes as I go. But as you can see, these things get the difference. So if date, whatever is in here, is less than, it's older than today's date, then we go into this if statement and we do this. We see how many days difference it is. Oh yeah, and this is how I can get just the days, because I only want the days from this comparison. You can get a whole bunch of other information. I only wanted days. I think that's maybe why I did the conversion. I think that might have been why, because this is different here. This just tells you if it's greater than or less than, but this allows you to extract the days, and I think you can do hours and seconds and all kinds of stuff, and I wanted days, so I extracted that information from there, and then based on that difference, I plus equal, so I add to savings what left is, and then left gets changed, updated by the income divided by names, by names, I don't know what I'm saying, by the number of days, and then if days, this thing that we extracted here, is greater than 1, then we do this several more times. This might even be the issue right here. This could be the problem child here. And part of the reason I did this though is because if it's 0, I don't want to multiply the days. I suppose what I could have done is said that left plus left. Okay. There it is. So I handled that by doing this. So if it's just 1 day, it'll only happen here because it's not greater than 1 day. But if it's more than 1 day, then you do, and this still could have part of the issue, but I think I convert it right here, so it shouldn't matter. That converts it. And if it sounds like I'm just speaking gobbledygook, it's okay, my brain, it sounds like I'm speaking gobbledygook to myself. But what it's doing here is it's it's concatenating, it's summing, it's adding into savings the days -1. So if it's 2 days, then it would just be 1 day times whatever's left, which I just calculated here, and that adds it into here. And then we return that when we call this function and input all of these variables in here. And then here's another function that writes the data to the CSV, which is really important. Obviously, you have to, you change the data here with the UI. That change is updated and reflected in here. So, I mean, at some point I might rename this to update data. I don't know. Something that rolls off the tongue but also makes sense. But for now, just write data. You have your, oh my god, left today, the income, savings, and the date. And you can see that that's, so yeah. And this is the labels here, left day, income, total, total savings, and date. And then they're just passed in. This gets converted to a float. This gets converted to a float. These all get converted to floats except for the date, which is just fine, how it is. Just the way that I built the rest of it. And then this is where the UI stuff is happening over here. And it's calling all of these methods, or all these functions, I think is what you call them in Python. And as you can see, I imported certain things here, tkinter, obviously for this whole deal. Then we have the OS path, which I don't even need anymore. Or no, I do, because write CSV is used for that, I think. I don't think Pandas does that. I can't even remember, to be honest. If it's not necessary, I'll go back and I'll remove it, but just not today. And then so it's, oh, that's why I have it, because I have this file exists deal, which helps me know if the file exists. If it does, then I do some stuff, and if it doesn't, then I do some other stuff, which I haven't even programmed in yet. So if it exists, which it does right now in the test cases that I'm testing for, then it does all of this in here, generates the window, and if it doesn't, then I'm gonna add a whole bunch of code here. But basically, it opens the same window, similar window, and it's going to make you input what your income is, what your savings are. Well, that's pretty much it actually. What your income and your savings are, and then based on that information, it'll calculate the rest. So, and then it will go to this window after that, and then you can continue doing it, or you close it out. But then each time after that, it will check, or if this file exists. If it does, that's the data. It's tracking your budget, and then it will just generate this stuff here. That's the whole kind of overall concept. I know this is kind of like stream of consciousness. That's what I've been doing with my streams for the most part. If there's basic stuff you want me to go into at some point, feel free to drop a comment. I have a YouTube channel too. It's just my name, which is not Antolini. Technically, it's Mason and Mason McGarry. So you just search for that on YouTube, and you can see stuff that I'm doing. You can comment on there, and if you have ideas of videos for me to do or questions, I will try to answer them and accomplish them to the best of my abilities. I don't know why I'm talking like that with that tone. I'm trying to get better at this whole presentation thing. So yeah, anyways, what we got here is the spend today function, which gets called with clicking the spend button, and here you'll see error out. So see, it doesn't like that because it didn't get anything. So basically, I have to either make it so this button can't be pressed unless there's a value in here that's a number, float, or I have to just catch that error. I don't know how to do that yet, so I'm not going to try. I know how to do it with Java, and I'm gonna inevitably, if I turn this into an actual app, I'm gonna have to refactor it into Java, which is fine. I love Java, and it'll be an interesting experience. But I'm going to do that with a different app that I'm working on that's much simpler than all this rigmarole. The global prefix, there's another name for it, but what it allows me to do is say, okay, so inside of a function, I can make this, and it would not be connected to this, sort of. Python's a little weird. It's not very concrete. It seems like there's a lot of wishy-washiness about it. To me, maybe I just really don't get it. I'm learning. But the global statement says that we want to use the global version of this. And left to date right here. It's called here globally, and then we're going to call it again in the function. So those are tied. They're connected. So it's going to look at that one whenever it's doing anything inside of this function. And so that's, you know, and this is definitely part of what's happening. It's wrong with this whole calculation here. It's getting counted twice, so I'm gonna have to dig into this whole meat and potatoes here, take a look at it. This bit here is what does the initialization. So if the file exists, then it initializes it with all its values, you know, using the global thing as well. And it goes ahead and looks at what those data points are, and they're found by going into these functions here. So these functions are get today, get data, which is all of the data in here, get left today, which is a piece of data in here. That's this one, you know, get income. These are all just different pieces of data in here, and it grabs them, and then it has them as a value, income data, blah, 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 all that stuff, right? It gets this as pieces of data, and then puts them into income, which is this one here, or total left, which is this banner here. I made it a banner because there's no point in editing that. Like, you shouldn't be able to edit that. The whole idea is that the math is doing it for you, right? The savings one is editable. I don't know if I'm gonna change that. I might have like an add button, like a add to savings or save, I don't know. But right now it's editable. It really shouldn't be. It should look like this banner as well. Income one is the one that I want to have like this, because obviously, you know, your income can change even month to month. I mean, even less possibly. So that's why that's there, because that's what's used to calculate how much you should theoretically be able to spend today, according to the parameters of the app. I mean, this isn't a design that I thought of or anything like that, but it just seems like a cool project. So then it just writes in that data. For this one, since it's a label, you have to use config and then make the text equal that for the saving. But for these two, they're both text fields or whatever. And then I just have this so that I know it's initialized. Like, I'm not gonna leave that in forever. I just, you know, just like this, change income. It's just a note to myself. It tells me the function tells me. It's just a way to debug functions in the console. And then it does all this other stuff here. You know, this places it. Grid allows you to place it in a specific place. So this is this bit here, and I have it in the top left. You know, the 0th row and the 0th column, etc. And all of these are in a certain way. I did find out some weird stuff though. So grid, if you're trying to, I should have taken a note of what it was. Basically, if you're changing the value. Yeah, if you want like a dynamic text field, you can't do grid this way. You have to do grid on it like this. So it's like you create it and initialize it with whatever you want. Then you call grid on it afterwards. It's almost as if doing it like this changes the nature of what the object, like the label object is, or the text object is, unless you do it like this, where it's on its own line, where it's not like one big, you know, label this parameters and then dot this. Like, you have to do it after. I don't know why, but that's the only way I could get it to not throw this weird error. It was either an error or like just didn't dynamically change. Super annoying. Took a lot of experimentation, but it's been a really cool learning experience. What I'm gonna do is, once I get further with this, I'll do an update. And seeing as like I'm probably just gonna put this on GitHub, I will eventually link that. I just don't have. I want to have like a decently functional piece of code before I do that. But anyways, that's pretty much it, I think, for today. Again, any questions, feel free to, I don't even know if you can comment after Twitch stream is not live anymore. But if you can, that's great. If not, I guess try to message me. Can you message me? Is there like a whisper me? It's fucking crazy. creepy. Yes, whisper me if you have questions, I suppose. And again, if you're digging this music at all, just take a look at the chat. I make beats. I sell beats. My voice keeps cracking. I sell beats, and I also make custom beats. That's like a service. If you want like a comp, doesn't have to necessarily be a beat. I can make something symphonic within reason. I'm not like, what we can work together, right? You just message me on Fiverr. We can work out a deal. And other than that, check out my beats, and you can buy them. That's on BeatStars. But yeah, hope you guys have a great day. Take care.